Well, hi, hello, and how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to a session of Chattin On The Porch, a fun little live stream we do where we sometimes bring on guests and talk about what the heck is going on in the world. And I've got two absolutely fabulous guests lined up for tonight. They are returning veterans of Chattin On The Porch. And given all the things going on in the Great North, I thought, well, we need to have them back on here because it's time to see what they've got to say. Anyway, glad to have y'all here tonight. We are on YouTube, we are on Rumble, and we are on Twitter. So please tell your friends. Please tell your friends to stop by. Tell them to say hello. Tell them to come on in. Bring as many with you as you can because we're going to have a great conversation tonight. And before I bring on my guests, WWG1, who has absolutely one of the most unique senses of humor I've ever come across, passed along some memes. Now, WWG1, there's one of those I'm saving for Saturday, and that's that YouTube video. So hang on to that thing, brother, and we will play that one on Saturday. I have a very special plan related to that. But the other four we're going to use tonight. So, but definitely hang on to that. Hang on to that YouTube video because that is just pricelessly funny. Anyway, we will start off tonight with a few merry memes. As you all are aware, the tariff wars continue in earnest. Nations are going back and forth with each other. I'm going to slap a 25% tariff on you. I'm going to slap a 50% tariff on you, such and so on many different items, by the way. Well, apparently, we are now into it with the Irish. The Irish are about ready to slap a tariff on us. And you might be asking yourself, pray tell, what is the commodity for which we are about to be tariffed? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the Irish are going to give us 125% tariff on all imported U.S. goods until we take Rosie O'Donnell back. You know, I know that tariffs have all kinds of consequences and unintended consequences, but folks, I don't know that I see this one working out quite the way that the Irish plan. I don't know if 125% gets us to take Rosie O'Donnell back. I'm just saying, folks. I mean, I could be wrong about this, but man, I don't know that that's enough economic pain to make us take her back. So I could be absolutely wrong about this, but we'll see how this one shakes out in the ongoing tariff wars. All right, what else do we have out here? Now, gentlemen, let us be honest. We are all getting older. There are things that we're dealing with all the time. There are things we're not looking forward to having to deal with. But we know it's coming. So this one is more like in the way of a public service announcement. Just remember, gentlemen, depending on how old you are, this might be closer to the amount of years you get. For some of us, it's going to be fewer, but in the end, if you happen to be a trans Alzheimer patient someday in a assisted living home, they're going to have to explain to you what was done to your member like 700 times a day. You know, that seems like a really rough way to go. So if there are those out in the audience that are trans, you might want to rethink some of the life decisions you're about to make. Just saying. All right. What else do we have out here in the way of the merry memes? Yes. You know, a lot of people have been wondering, ever since the negotiations started in earnest for a ceasefire in the Ukraine-Russia war, what exactly is Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's role in all this? Because he's been noticeably quiet ever since that meeting he had with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have recently heard from Mr. Zelensky, and apparently his role in the negotiations to try to end the war are very minimal, and apparently his services aren't needed, such that, I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying that seems a little bit harsh. But man, that's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you, man. That seems just a little bit harsh. just a little bit harsh. Yep. Somebody's yelling, "This is MAGA country." Ugh. Anyway, one more, my friends. I said the other night that out of Trump's address to Congress, there were many different and interesting consequences that came about. Many groups are getting together or maybe even getting back together. Well, apparently, we've got the original Spice Girls are going back out on tour. And there's a newer or maybe an older version, believe it or not, an older version of the Spice Girls that are going out. So, they finally got back together. Hood Spice, Rogaine Spice, Old Spice, Brother Spice, and Donkey Spice. I don't know what the cost of the tickets are going to be for that tour, but I have a feeling, given some of the people involved, you can get them fairly cheap. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Could be wrong. That's right. The bitter Spice Girls are going back on tour. Yay. All right. As you all know, there have been things going on in the Great North. There have been things happening. And I thought, you know what? I promised my two guests, my two unofficial Canadian correspondents, that when things started to break loose, I would have them back on here. One of them is en route right now. She is fighting a migraine, but she has promised to be here. And, we're going to let her do her thing for as long as she possibly can. In the meanwhile, an old friend has stopped by. You know him from many different places, from his own channel on Rumble and YouTube, from ThirdRailify. He is also a fantastic graphics man. I've been getting rave reviews about my intro and my outro, and this man is singularly responsible for the high quality that it is. And believe me, laying aside, the host's, shall we say, lack of technical prowess, that intro is just absolutely top notch. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the electronic front porch, my good friend from the Great North, Mr. Shawn from ThirdRailify.
Hello, my little ducklings. How are you guys doing tonight?
Whack, whack. We're all doing good. What's going on, Father Duck?
Just living here in Canada. That's all.
Oh my God. Yeah, y'all got some. Look, I have no right to say anything. Our country's politics is as screwed up as it gets. But y'all take the word interesting and totally do things with it that no one ever intended possible. So, but we'll get into that in a minute. So how are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a spell.
I'm doing all right. I'm in that Rumble creator program or whatever, and so I'm just busting my hump, streaming a Rumble. I got what I got to do. I have to start paying more attention to YouTube because the subscribers are starting to go the wrong way. That's what happens if you don't post consistently. People go, maybe this guy's dead. So I have to start doing that. But yeah, streaming a lot on Rumble, and it's a hoot.
Really?
Yeah, I love Rumble. The people on Rumble, like even in your Rumble chat, these guys, fantastic. These wingnuts.
Yeah, I mean we've got WWG1s over there, TBAs over there, Mom's Mysteries and Mayhem. She's here tonight.
Gina's lovely.
Hello, Gina, you gorgeous thing, you. And then we got that scoundrel, My Morning Mayhem. Hello, Chris. How you doing? Oh, there she is. Ladies and gentlemen, our other panelist has arrived, and bless her heart, say prayers for her because her noggin right now is doing things that should not be allowed in most places in the civilized world. She is a former journalist at Rebel News and otherwise a content creator in her own right. Please welcome back the lovely and gracious Kelly Lamb.
Greetings. I need to move over. There we go. Hello, everyone.
God, she does look lovely, doesn't she? My goodness.
Nothing, a half a tin of Tiger Balm in a hot shower can't fix, right?
Well, we have something down here called a Kentucky Toddy. That's where you take bourbon sipping whiskey, pour in honey, put in some ginger root, heat that up, and just sip on it for a little while.
That sounds more fun. So I'll note that for next time.
Yes. Well, you can do it. It's normally called an Irish toddy. You can do it with Jameson. But
Okay,
if you
okay.
want a twist on it, just do something. Find some Kentucky Sour Mash, or just some good Kentucky bourbon, and just like I said, bourbon, honey, ginger root. Heat that up and just sip it for a little while. It just goes down real good. Or so
Good
I've
to
heard.
note. Although we're not allowed to buy American booze right now because we'll be shamed as traders. So I don't
True.
know if I can do that.
Hey, listen, if I can just talk about that just for one shake or two shakes of a
Oh,
lamp.
Fair.
please be my guest.
Just the idea, okay? The idea that liquor stores here in Ontario, it's the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, it's a government-owned, it's a monopoly, right, on liquor, but they go out, they purchase, give the money to the American alcohol supplier, then they receive the alcohol, much like any other purchase, and then it sits on the shelf. While it's on the shelf, you're in the hole for whatever is on the shelf.
Yeah.
So for these morons, absolute morons, to go, you know what? Customers, we're in the hole for all of this alcohol, but you're not allowed to buy it because we're going to teach the people we already gave the money to a lesson.
It's going to work too. It's like basically valiantly walking into battle, Lord of the Rings style. It's epic. Didn't you know that? Didn't you know? Don't even get me started. This is part of why I just had to come tonight. The ranting. There's so much ranting.
No.
Don't reorder. That's sell it. Don't reorder. That's it.
Yeah.
No, it is literally designed to piss us off.
Yeah.
Gee, as if you don't have enough reasons to be torqued off up there in the Great North. And we're gonna get to all that tonight.
My county has just decided that they're gonna raise the price of their garbage tags. They're $2 a garbage tag, up to $3 per garbage tag. I have plenty to be mad about.
It never ends. Yeah, it never ends.
Indeed. Let me say hello to some people real quick, and then we're going to get into it. Good evening, Ms. Lana. Mwah. And from the Twitter side, Dr. Caitlin Isaac Esquire. Oh, I love that title. Democrats are on top of reminding their lady constituents to get their prostate checked. Well, I'm glad you're here, but ew, yucky. Z Highness is in the house representing the 199. Hello, darling. Let's see. We got Mom's Mysteries and Mayhem. So yes, Miss Lovely Jean. Leah is in the house. Oh my goodness. Things are about to get really spicy. Mwah. Hello, darling. Let's see. Chris is here from My Morning Mayhem. He representing WWG1. Oh, and he also has a further possibility for you, Kelly, as you're trying to get over. He says you can also have a moonshine toddy. It doesn't go down just as easy, but yeah, it is possible. You can use moonshine. But,
right here.
What is that? Apple.
It's like apple pie moonshine or something.
Okay.
They call it hooch in these parts. I don't know if that's an
deadly.
Ontario thing too.
I call it hooch, but
hooch. Yeah.
Hooch.
It's delicious and deadly. I guess that's my favorite combination.
There you go. All right. I promised I'd have you kids back on when things broke loose up there in your interesting country. Okay. Y'all got yourselves a new prime minister. One Mr.
As of tomorrow, yes, we do.
Yes. Here's this interesting looking gentleman. And I got a bunch of questions. So let me just dive right in. Do I understand that this gentleman holds 3 passports?
Yes.
All right, what nations are we talking about here?
Canada, England, America.
Yeah.
Okay, so now correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't that mean he holds citizenship in each of those nations if he's got a passport?
Yes.
He also doesn't hold a seat in Parliament. He's not an MP, which is ridiculous. We'll get to that. Yeah.
We'll rant about that.
There's plenty of content. Okay. Yeah.
Now, and good, and the professor's in the house. Good evening, Mr. Watson. We are glad to have you here, sir. Do I also understand of this gentleman that he how do I want to put this? The Liberal Party in Canada supposedly, I say supposedly, has about 450,000 paying members. Is that number about right?
Well, I'm not sure,
Sounds right from last I heard or read,
Okay.
but yeah.
but I think 103,000 of them voted.
And your country has a population of roughly, what is it, 40 million, something like that?
43 million, I think. Yeah.
43 million.
Many of them shouldn't even be here. But
We've had a massive increase the last few years. Yeah,
that's another thing to rant about later.
We're going to let you rant, brother. Trust me. I'm going to open the gate and just let you run. Don't
this
worry.
is a therapy session, you realize, Brian.
No. Look. The electronic front porch is designed for many different things. And one of them is if friends of mine from social media call me up or ring me up or tweet me or whatever the hell it is we do in this crazy thing and say, I need to rant. I'm like, when do you want to come on? And I'm
it's
like,
a safe place.
it's a safe space. Yes, it's a safe space. Now I understand that your new prime minister was elected with roughly about 130,000 votes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Out of a nation of about 43 million people?
Correct.
So basically, this man didn't even get no, I take that back.
A lot of zeros before the number, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so this man who got 100 and something thousand votes out of a nation of about 43 million people is going to lead your country. Do I state that correctly?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I have one last question.
Yeah. How or why?
No. It's not a how or a why. It's a what. What in the hell goes on in Canada?
Well, okay.
I don't know anymore. I don't even know anymore. So
okay. So it kind of goes like this, and it's It's kind of stupid, and this is why Canada needs to be a republic, much like Marvel's Endgame. That's where many people got off the carousel. They got off the bus at that moment. That was the off ramp when the Queen died. That was our off ramp off of this thing that we're doing in the Commonwealth. That was it. We missed our off ramp, and we're stuck. Anyway, so Mark Carney can become Prime Minister of Canada without having a seat in the House of Commons. He can.
Yes.
Is that
technically he can. Yeah.
Is that
it's
normal?
not normal. It's allowed.
It's allowed.
Okay.
There's because under Canada's Westminster parliamentary system, that's what we have, right?
Okay.
It's I guess the UK has the same, right? The Westminster parliamentary system. There is no legal requirement for the Prime Minister to be an elected member of Parliament at the time of their appointment.
Right.
There's no rule that says it, which is I think kind of I think what you'd call stupid. It's stupid.
It is stupid. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now, hang on now. Now, in the defense of your Westminster parliamentary system, there is a slight American derivation of that. Strictly speaking, one does not have to be an elected member of the U.S. House of Representatives in order to be the Speaker. So we've got something slightly akin to what you guys have got up there, but nothing quite on the same scale, though.
But I mean, aside from like figurehead stuff, what does the Speaker do?
Right. Yeah. They don't hold as much power as essentially we have a king. We might as well have a king. There's no actual they can just lord over us with their their ideas, and we are the peasants and we eat it basically. 40,000 foot bird's eye view, not proper parliamentary language.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So instead, the way we do it is that the prime minister is typically considered it's the leader of the political party that holds basically the balance of power in the parliament, right? So that's just basically it. The Liberals hold confidence of power in the House of Commons, and because there is no requirement for Mark Carney to have a seat, he's being given the leadership position. The Liberals have the confidence. Although, listen, if there was an election today, I don't think he'd be in there. But because he has the confidence of the House of Commons, they basically the Governor General says, yes, I grant you who is the king's representative. I grant you permission to be prime minister because you are the leader of the party that has the most seats, and that's basically that. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, it's allowed. It's just it's really, really dumb. And theoretically, he's supposed to now call an election, which I'm gonna wait and see on. But that's supposed to be the plan. Is he took over because this is the proper process after the other leader steps down, i.e. Trudeau, and then he should be prompting an immediate election. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath on that one either. So
technically, the election has to happen. Is Kelly? Is it October? That has to happen?
October, but doesn't he have another year? Isn't there a way around that as well? My understanding is he could bump it a year, but I would hope it would be very soon. But yeah, I'm going to guess it's going to be pushed as long as it can be. But it's hard to say. I've heard different views on this because whether or not he'll be popular, should he just get her done now? I mean, depends who you ask, I guess.
I mean, for my part, I have not seen anything in the press saying that the election can be delayed past October. For sure, at least from my reading of it, you guys are scheduled for an election in October. Win, lose, or draw, no matter what happens.
What's that?
Unless he pulls a Zelensky.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I thought there was some sort of but I could be wrong. Like I have only been partly background paying attention to this. I thought there was some kind of like a clause of much like they did with the pandemic where they're saying, everything just gets suspended because we think it's an emergency. So your rights don't exist anymore. That kind of a fun clause. But again, I am not on my best mental game here.
You have that. It's called the notwithstanding clause. Basically, notwithstanding your rights, we are the government and we are allowed to suspend them and treat you like garbage because you're basically peasants. And if you don't like how we're treating you like peasants, then you can vote us out in 5 years from now. Eat a dick. That's basically notwithstanding clause.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I do have a question though, and I need you guys to take me inside the mindset of Liberal Party voters. I know I'm making you guys wade through a lot of.
You want us to explain psychosis to you?
Yeah, more or less. What is it about this? He's never held elective office. He's not a current member of Parliament. He is not actively involved in the day-to-day machinations of Canadian politics. What in the infernal regions of Dante's hell made 130-something thousand Liberal Party members vote for a man that has no on its face qualification to be a political leader of a government? Christy Freeland, I might disagree with her politics, but she's in the arena. She's already there. She understands the day-to-day functioning of government.
Minister even.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was surprised she didn't win. Now, this is where a lot of people say, well, the game is rigged, right? And this is, the whole WEF, this is the next pick. It's going to be whether people vote for it or not. There were candidates that were pushed out of the leadership race. And there's lots of, rumblings about whether that was actually they have their reasons and they say they follow the rules, but a lot of people were upset. A lot of conservatives joined the party just to be able to have some semblance of democracy and feel like they had a choice. And there were a couple candidates that were a little more sane, less psychotic, if you will, that got, booted out of there. But I'm surprised that more people, or that the party themselves wouldn't have put Chrystia in. My concern was that she would win. I don't like her. As you said, none of you like her, but she's a woman. And when you get to the liberal mindset, that's like half of the reason that you vote is gender, right? So I'm actually surprised because I feel like she would have had a better chance with the public just based on normies that are thinking, oh my gosh, a woman, how amazing, how progressive. I'm actually kind of surprised because I feel like she would have had a better public persona, but I think there's more going on in the background. I'll leave that to Shawn to chat about.
Liberals, okay, so my philosophy is that liberals will abandon liberals will abandon their principles faster than they can abandon a baby in a dumpster, which is like that. Okay,
true.
So the fact Mark Carney won with like 89 points whatever percent of the vote, 90% he won.
Right.
So this wasn't. I mean, it was a rout. It was like a massive trouncing. So anyone who would have been like, oh, let's vote women because it wasn't just Freeland who's a woman, it was also Gould who, I mean, she was the one that was like, "Oh yeah, Nazis in Parliament. Oh my God, I'm so happy." You know, who would have thought? I would have thought the Liberals would have been all over that. But
Right.
so because Mark Carney was the governor of her bank, and then he was the governor of the Bank of England,
Hmm.
and his wife not owns, but is like head or in charge or high up in some massive some scheme in America. That's the American um passport.
Mhm.
This guy is more globalist and more
Hmm.
WEF than Trudeau could ever be.
Bingo. Yeah.
And the one of the scary things that many Canadians don't know, and for some reason Canadians are still asleep at the wheel. It's shocking to me, is Trudeau was basically a dummy. I mean, he had his ideology, and he acted to service that ideology, but there was a lot of virtue signaling, a lot of narcissism, a lot of look at my hair and look at my socks. I'm a pretty boy, but at the end of the day, he said budgets balance themselves, and I don't really do math. I have learning dis. He was an idiot. Mark Carney is more ideological, but he's also incredibly smart. And so
Yes. Yeah.
that makes him like a weird double threat, if not triple threat, because I think he might also be evil. Like, so
Yeah.
it's a much scarier time. This guy nonchalantly was like, "Oh yeah, that carbon tax that's gonna kill everybody. Let's double it."
Oh yeah, he's all over it. Like he's extremely ideologically possessed, and I agree. He's more intelligent, love or hate him. He's definitely, I think he's a much worse threat. And he said some pretty iffy things, both in the past and in his acceptance speech, and just it's concerning, to put it mildly.
Well, you both of you use words that kind of lead me to another subject, and I've got to ask you about this because maybe it has a reaction up in Canada, maybe it doesn't. You use the word evil and you use the word possessed. Shortly after it was announced that Mark Carney won the leadership fight to be the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, hence making him by default your prime minister, photos started to surface like the one I'm about to show you, where he is elbow to elbow with one of the most infamous women in recent history, one Miss Ghislaine Maxwell. And that's not the only photo that's out there. You've also got, hang on a minute. I thought I had this thing pulled up. Give me 1 second. And Maxwell.
Now, I just want to point out that Ghislaine, she was while she was convicted of trafficking children, it was a conviction of trafficking children to nobody. So she could be innocent.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Well, that's a whole other subject that, believe me, I could. Well, anyway, here's some other photos that have been taken over the years. So it's not like these two haven't run in the same circle. So I got to ask you guys, when this information, or if it, all right, let's start with it. Do people in Canada know about this particular association?
Not unless they're on X and already involved. But the average person out there that just goes on Facebook and doesn't like politics, and that's like most of Canadians, which are very apathetic. No, they barely know about the Epstein thing at all. Really, most people aren't paying attention at all. Sadly,
I was just say that I don't think the average Canadian even knows who Ghislaine Maxwell is. In fact, maybe the average Canadian has heard of the joke that Epstein didn't kill himself or whatever, but the details about who this person is, no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the average Canadian is asleep.
It's just orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. That is literally the only political piece that gets recycled, and it's kind of terrifying, actually.
And if they're not deliberately asleep or whatever, it's because they're fighting to survive, right?
Yeah.
Living in Canada is not exactly easy. Like everything costs so much money, so you need a second job or a third job, and sometimes that's not enough. I mean, food banks, but the lines for a food bank, they're just, you need binoculars to see the end of it. It just goes on forever, and then but when you're halfway through the line, the food's gone. So, food bank lines are filling up faster and faster, earlier and earlier and earlier in the day. So just so you can be that first half of it. Like, it's not easy living here.
No.
And so a lot of Canadians, they don't have time to know, who Ghislaine Maxwell is and whether or not our new prime minister may or may not have been on an island with stripy buildings. Like, they can't. That's not a part of their bandwidth.
Yeah, they're just stressed out and they don't want to be stressed about politics in general. It's true. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and my audience recognizes the difficulties you guys have. And for example, WWG1 over on Rumble says most Canadians are trying to not be killed by moose during rutting season. They don't have time for politics. Well, look, rutting season, Canada, mooses, I don't know, man. It's just kind of. Oh, and Shawn, by the way, just to let you know, one of my members finds you to be amusing.
I see that. They're lovely.
He is funny. I concur.
No, Gypsy, hello, my dear.
Profanity as well. I hope you guys appreciate that.
Yes, I thought about that after I let go my comment to Miss Kelly that, I should probably let Shawn know. Yeah, you can just be yourself. I'm not going to get cranky about that. So, and speaking of Gypsy, she shared something that I want to read because I thought this was pretty good. I would like to say that it is no coincidence, and I don't believe in coincidences, that the new PM of Canada name is Carney. I am sure you are well aware that Carney is slang for carnival worker. Well, I mean, let's see what kind of carnival working he does up there in the Great North. But, okay, so this guy's obviously smart. I mean, the man has run the Bank of England and the Bank of Canada. Okay, even though he's not an elected public official. That doesn't mean
that he did a good job, though.
Okay, all right, let's talk about that. Were there any controversies during the time?
The unreliable boyfriend, because he flip-flopped in directions of interest rate increases, he couldn't pick a lane, and that causes a lack of confidence.
Okay.
So I mean, it's just he wasn't brilliant in Canada, and then he went off to not be brilliant in England, but. Let's also take a moment here to I guess discuss the fact that many of Trudeau's terrible policies were given to him because, again, Trudeau is ideologically one way and interested in virtue signaling and blackface. Those are his hobbies, right? So where did he get the policies from? From his advisor. Who was that? Mark Carney. So now you got Mark Carney being like, oh, you got so much to change in this nation. We changed from the policies that you gave Trudeau? What way are you going to take us? Farther down the
farther, yeah.
Is that going to be the change? We're going to go deeper into hell? We're not far enough for you? So that's basically what's happening. Like, there's 10 million photos of Trudeau and Carney being all like buddy because they kind of were. Like, he was his advisor.
Okay, so I've got a question, but before I do, let me do a real quick commercial since we're at the bottom of the hour. If you have happened upon this live stream and you're looking at these three fabulous looking individuals who are well dressed, very smart, and distinguishingly good looking, you have found your way to Chattin On The Porch. I happen to be the host, Brian Trippett, the Front Porch Conservative. These two wonderful people are Shawn from ThirdRailify and Miss Kelly Lamb. They are both content creators. You can find their channels on YouTube. You can find them on Rumble in the case of Shawn. You can find me in both places as well. And if you're not subscribed to our channels, please do me the favor of giving all of us a sub tonight. We would genuinely appreciate it. Okay, so let's get back to Carney here for a minute, okay? He has no elected position prior to becoming prime minister of your country. He gets voted in with 89% of the vote, but the reality is he got voted in by 0.0003% of the population of Canada. He is brilliant in terms of, being able to talk about whatever he wants to talk about. He sounds like, if I may use a very old example, he sounds like the Cardinal Richelieu behind the throne, the guy whispering in the ear of the king, and now Richelieu is on his throne. So now here's my question. When last we talked, and Shawn, and you were like, bouncing off of websites and stuff like that, the Conservative Party of Canada led by Pierre help me with the
Polyev.
last name. Polio. Pierre Polio.
Polyev. Pierre Polyev.
Polyev. I'm from West Virginia down here in the States.
I think last time you called him Polly Want a Cracker. I believe that was your moniker.
I believe
then,
that is
Brian.
true, yes.
So go for
Pierre
it.
Polyev want a
Carry
cracker.
on.
Well, actually, I'm going with like Pepe Le Pierre. So Pepe Pellier. Hey, it's French. You should be able to appreciate it. It's got a Canadian tie-in. I'm just saying. Pierre Le Pew, in this case, and his Conservative Party were poised to mop the floor with the Liberals. Okay, so now you instead of Trudeau, you've got Carney. Much like instead of Biden, now you got Kamala. If this guy is as WEF, World Economic Forum, and pedal to the metal, foot on the floor, progressive, like you guys are saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong, okay? You know him way better than I do. If he's all of that, is it that he's oblivious to what's about to happen, or he just doesn't think the Canadians care enough to do anything about it? I mean, I guess my question is, are the Liberals still headed for a massive defeat, even though they swapped out Trudeau for Carney?
I see you shake your head. You can go first on that, Shawn. I have thoughts too, but go for it.
Okay, so do you guys remember when Donald Trump got arrested and it was unprecedented and there was a mugshot?
Yeah.
How many talking heads was like, "Whoa, that's it. Well, this election, sure, it's ways away, but this thing is over."
Yep, I remember.
We all did it. And then do you remember when he was in court and he was mean mugging the court sketch person and he came out and he was doing his thing? They're like, "That's it. That's it. This election, it's over." I mean, we all did it. And then we did it, and then we did it, and then we kept forgetting. And then they shot him in the face. And that's it. This thing is totally over. And then they tried to shoot him again. For sure, this time, you see the point that I'm making? Like, there's the memory is so short that even an assassination attempt is, the end of the violent rhetoric was done. What, a little more than 24 hours later, right? And then even after the assassination attempt, it was like, whew, this might be a tight race. Kamala might win. So now we have Pierre Polyev, who is he's not doing his best game. He is jumping on this anti-Trump thing, the same as Trudeau did, the same as Jagmeet Singh, the same as Elizabeth May. She's the Green Party. She's a wackadoo, but there's no daylight between them. It's the same.
No.
So how are we going to differentiate between them? So I mean, you can already see in the polls are kind of like this whole thing of proroguing the parliament. It was an evil scheme from the beginning, and it's worked wonderfully, and it's going to be a tight race, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Pierre wins a weak majority, a minority even, but like it's not anywhere near. We're not looking at, I think, anything that resembles bloodbath territory the way we were before, and it's disappointing.
Yeah, it was poised to be at like a super majority, and now, as you said, I mean, I'm agree with you pretty much wholeheartedly on that. Pretty much everything you said, Shawn. It's looking like, yeah, maybe he'll win, but it's not going to be anything. And if you have a minority government or even just a barely majority, there's not a lot you can do, especially if it's a minority, because we have between the Liberals and the NDP and the Greens, they all tend to kind of pool up and vote for the same madness, and so there's just not a lot. It'll just be a weak, it'll just be a weak sauce government, even more than it already is. But I'm really disappointed in Pierre. I don't want to say I'm surprised, because he's playing the game of politics and he has a base to appeal to. And often that base is a more liberal or centrist area. That's where the numbers are. That's where the population are. He's not trying to get more votes in my region, my neck of the woods, which is conservative country, always voting conservative. He's trying to play the middle ground. And not have the media against him. And now, because of the Trump stuff, like you said, Shawn, he's just diving into the same rhetoric as everybody else so that he can look like he's also Team Canada. Because this is part of my frustration right now with what's going on is Canadians are just acting so ridiculously. They're only mad when they're told what to be mad about. Nobody gets mad about anything that matters, only what's put on memes on Facebook, only what's put out in the sort of MSM. And I feel like Pierre, whoever's advising him on speeches, is just doing a terrible job. And he's diving into the same passive aggressive, self-righteous, we're smarter, we're more moral, that kind of an attitude, trying to play on this sort of randomly newfound sense of patriotism that Canadians apparently suddenly have when 5 seconds ago.
I hate it.
Oh, Kelly. I can't even handle it. So 5 seconds ago. Go ahead.
No, please. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just needed to. I hate it. The full patriotism makes me so mad.
I know. It's so fake.
For 1 decade, Justin Trudeau has been striving and striving and striving to the point where he confidently was like, yeah, well, Canada is a post-national state with no core identity. And basically, he was like this, high five. And he was so goddamn happy about it. And then all of a sudden, now that he's basically boiled us down to a country that, we don't really need borders. We don't really need anything. Hey, the third world can just pour on in here. Well, if you import the third world, you become the third world. And if we're honest right now, Canada is basically the second world because, the law of averages. But all of a sudden, he's going to be like, oh, no, you know what? Team Canada. We're going to do the Team Canada approach. For what? For what patriotism?
Well, it's based on nothing.
Identity? We don't have a core identity. So how can we possibly... This is a caffeinated drink. I'm so sorry. The thing is, like, how can we possibly be patriotic about a country that has nothing to be patriotic about? Fucking nothing. It's been all stripped away. We can't be a Christian nation. We can't be founded on any of our fucking values because that's racist and colonial and all of this shit that we've ever had that made us is now fucking terrible. It so much so that the guy who's like, my name is Joe and I'm Canadian, all that fucking advert that they brought back, it was all bullshit.
No, it's nonsense. It makes no sense. And it's all either basically we've decided that suddenly we have a core identity again when, like you said, Shawn, 2 seconds ago we didn't. Every MSM article was Canada Day would come and they would say, oh, we got to decolonize it. Oh, we shouldn't have Canada Day. Oh, we're just an oppressive nation. Like everything you can do to strip a sense of identity has been done. And most people ate it up or they were very meh, whatever. No patriotism. Nobody cared. Nobody wore a poppy anymore. People are firing Don Cherry because he brings anything up. Like it was just, there was nothing.
Because he said the Europeans were pussies, and they are.
It's like we had nothing.
I'm not to swear on your show, and I'm a little caffeinated.
Really, I hadn't noticed.
And so basically, our core identity now that all the leaders, except maybe Danielle Smith, our core identity is now becoming anti-America, which
exactly.
Is stupid.
That's all it is. We're built now on we're not the states. We're not the states. Orange man bad. America's bad. And suddenly all of this, people say Canadians are nice. And I knew during the pandemic that became very obvious that wasn't true. People became very passive aggressive and very smug. And that's what you really see. It's like the pandemic all over again, except this time it's just we're mad at the states. We're booing disabled people at the national anthem. Or at events on the national anthem. We're booing, and the prime minister is saying, yeah, do that. It's good. This is what's happening. We're acting like a bunch of petulant children, and the only thing we can say is our identity is basically hockey and not the USA. That's all anybody cares about now, and suddenly they're patriotic, and if you're just even remotely okay with anything Trump has done, you don't even have to like him. If you don't hate him, you're a traitor. It's just unreal. Like the tables have turned. And this is where the liquor thing came in. They're literally just like with COVID, they're shaming people. You go into a store, they're covering up American items and putting snarky, not just encouraging you to buy Canadian, don't buy American. We're going to cover it up so that if you do, you're going to have to shame yourself. We're going to make snark comments about Wayne Gretzky because heaven forbid Wayne Gretzky likes Donald Trump and now he should be reprimanded, and people are signing petitions and suddenly everyone's passionate and everybody's patriotic when 2 seconds ago nobody cared. And if you were patriotic or carried a flag, you were, well, demonized. If you were part of the trucker convoy, you had your bank accounts frozen, you were called a Nazi. Like, it's unbelievable. I'm blown away at how easily people have been persuaded by propaganda. It's like COVID 2.0, but I didn't see it coming because this wasn't an angle I thought we would see this. But I am so triggered consistently by how annoying people are being with this. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
And no caffeine, just mad. I'm just mad.
Talking to Kelly, it's almost like I'm looking in a mirror that turns me into a pretty lady. It's fantastic.
Well, let me respond with a couple of points, but I got to say some thank yous over on Rumble to My Morning Mayhem and to Mom's Mysteries and Mayhem. Thank you for the gifted memberships. Appreciate that very, very much. And WWG1 says, note to chat, Brian only reads things I write that don't embarrass him. I am highly censored. You are not, sir, and I do my best to read all your chats. Now, that second thing you wrote about my checks bouncing, that might happen occasionally, but that's the fault of the accountant. That's not me. That's the fault of the accountant. So we'll blame them. So anyway, thank you, WWG1. I'm just and I know it's all in good fun. So okay, let's talk about Pierre Lepew for a minute. I'm like Kelly. I get it. I mean, you can't be in a position where Trump's out there. We're tariff. You're screwing us over. We're going to do something about it. And you can't come out and be like, oh, okay, please go ahead. You're absolutely right. So I kind of get where Pierre's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like,
some points.
Yeah, but what I don't like about how he's handling this is here is a golden opportunity for him to offer the contrast to the leadership of the Liberal Party.
Bingo.
Yeah, Trump's trying to put tariffs on us. If I were him, I'd turn around and go, and we wouldn't be in this position if Canada's leadership did the following: do this, do this, do this, and do this. We wouldn't have this fight with the Americans and Donald Trump. So I think he's missing an opportunity, but I don't necessarily fault him. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't necessarily. I mean, to me, he's playing prevent defense. He knows
he's sidestepping.
He thinks he's got a lead that's insurmountable. He's like, okay, I'm just going to run out the clock till we get to the election. We get a majority. I become prime minister. I don't like that. I've never liked prevent defense in any sporting event, and I daggone sure don't like it in politics. To me, it's pedal to the metal, balls to the wall, foot on the floor, just hammer the living dog crap right out of the Liberal Party of Canada. Just let them have it every day. Now, here's the question that I've got. When last we talked, when your parliament comes back in, there was a rumor afoot that there would be a motion for a vote of no confidence. Do you guys think that's still going to happen? Because if it does it not trigger an election earlier than October?
I don't think so either, but go ahead, Shawn.
Okay, so a vote of no confidence triggers an election like that. It just does, because there's no confidence. The whole parliamentary system is built on confidence. Do we have confidence in the government to lead? Yes, then you lead. No, then we need to find confidence in someone that will. Right. So a non-confidence vote would basically fix the whole thing. However, Canada is also embroiled in a scandal that most Canadians don't even know about, and that's basically the quite literally rigged elections of the last couple elections, where some people maybe shouldn't have been elected, and there's various reports and whatnot that what's that? What is it? NICOP or what? And NICOP, or it's stupid anyways. But the point is, the Liberals were supposed to provide a lot of documents, and they haven't. Mm-hmm. They're basically like in contempt of the House, and as such, the Speaker has said, "Hey, listen, there, and maybe this is 4D chess that the Liberals are playing. That's entirely possible. We can get that in a second. But the Speaker has said there will be no government business until the Liberals hand over this paperwork. It's basically
the motion's not even going to be made.
And we make that motion. It just so happens that the Speaker of the House is from the Liberal Party.
Oh no!
So it's
as is most of our Senate and most judges, and like you really start to feel like the game is rigged here. It's pretty disheartening.
Yeah.
It's pretty disheartening.
Well,
yeah, so that's like the Chinese interference stuff, right, Shawn? Like all that good, lovely stuff going down. There's been so much.
Chinese students into a riding that they shouldn't have been at, so they could vote for the CCP Chinese liberal candidate. That's a rigged election.
Yeah, China's a far bigger threat to Canada. There, like you had said, Brian, the tariffs are like, yes, we have to obviously. I think maybe Trump's gone a little gung ho, and I think actually, if anybody wants to see a really good synopsis of this, and if I could ever pick someone to actually become an ambassador in this regard to the States, it would be my old boss Ezra Levant from Rebel. He went on InfoWars with Alex Jones, and he spoke and said, "Listen, big fan of Trump. Don't like the liberals. Liberals don't like me." But here's a different way to do it. And as you had said, Brian, there's nobody in our politics, in our political sphere that at least has a shot is remotely dealing with Trump in the way that they should, which is a different topic I may or may not rant about. But anyways, back to this whole idea of everything else. It's not the States, no matter how bad the tariffs are, even though it's going to hurt the Chinese Communist Party, like the CCP is the problem. China is interfering on so many levels, from massive levels of money laundering with things called the Vancouver model, like money laundering through casinos. We've got stuff going down with the massive buy up of land in places like Saskatchewan. Like they are taking over. People have said this is like the biggest threat to our sovereignty is the US, and nobody cares that in the meantime, in the background, although not in the background, but nothing that gets thrown out to the public enough to care, they're just taking over anyway. Like it's already happening. We're losing the fentanyl crisis. We're losing the war on. We're losing all of it, and it's the Chinese. That's the threat. Is China. It's not the U.S. But everybody hates Orange Man. So what do you get? Orange Man.
Well, let me pop up a question from the audience. And I tell you what, and I think Shawn's right. I've got one of the best audiences on the internet for their insight and their smarts. Lana asked the question: Do Shawn and Kelly think Trump's comments about making Canada the 51st state have hurt things? Or I'll expand that even beyond the question, his jab about, making Canada 51st state, all the comments about the tariffs, all the comments about how Canada is ripping us off, all the comments about all the things is it, I know Trump's going to Trump. No matter what happens, Trump is going to Trump. Love him, hate him, fine, I get it. Trump is going to Trump. But is he real? If his goal is to help Pierre Lepew become the next prime minister of Canada, is Trump being the smart person here with all these comments, or is all these comments just kind of like making the reverse effect? Oh, we must rise up to protect our Liberal Party in Canada and our beloved leadership. What do you guys think?
Trump has no goal to help Pierre Poilievre.
Okay. I agree.
Trump
just wants to help you.
He doesn't give a hoot who runs Canada. He just America first, right?
That's right.
Okay. But Canada being the 51st state, it's not going to happen. It can't happen. It's silly, right? It's genuinely silly, and there's a lot of butthurt Canadians. A lot of people are genuinely, for some reason, offended, and I don't know if only we had a conservative leader who didn't kind of puss out. Imagine the conversation that could happen. Be like, do you want to be the 51st state? No, then reinstate gun rights. This could be used, but instead a hornet's nest has been kicked, and it's just a bunch of stupid people. You can't. We're not going to buy your alcohol. It's dumb. And about these tariffs.
Okay.
The thing that Pierre Poilievre should be doing, but he can't do, is have an honest conversation about the tariffs. Mm-hmm. Why is it that our milk has a tariff of 270%? There's no American milk in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Good old supply management in Canada. Yeah, it's a whole other ballgame.
Or eggs, or cheese, or poultry. It's all tariffed hundreds upon hundreds of percent.
Why? And I'm not trying to pick a fight with y'all while we're having this conversation, but I'm genuinely curious, as I would like to know, why is it that American dairy is tariffed right out of sight to the point that we can't even get into your guys' market?
It's called supply management, and it's like the dairy farmer cartel. When I ran for the PPC in 2019, this was a big point that Maxim would talk about, love or hate him. Just discussing how this is really hurting Canadians and how much more. Now, you guys are paying a lot, my understanding is, for things like eggs at the moment, but that hasn't always historically been the case. Generally speaking, Canada pays way more in our dairy, our poultry, and our eggs, and it's because of supply management. And I mean, there's lots of theories on that. They're going to try to defend it for various reasons, but it's kind of like a little mini socialism experiment, but just on this one area. And there's a lot of money, and in particular in Quebec, and Quebec is a huge driver of political policy in this country. And that's, again, a whole other discussion. But supply management is sort of a way that it's called the dairy cartel. It's where the really rich dairy farmers sort of have their say. And what they have done is they've made it through propaganda, which is very effective in Canada. They've just made it sound like your products are inferior. And people, like, even growing up, you just believe these things because you hear them so often until you become educated. But yeah, you have inferior butter, you have inferior milk, it's dangerous, it's not regulated, and so they've just convinced Canadians that our quality is better, and this is good for us because now we're supporting Canadian, and it's just ridiculous because people are paying way more than need be. So what's the reason? I mean, I guess it depends who you ask, but if you ask the public, they would probably tell you because y'all have bad dairy and it's full of America stuff.
Yeah.
If we eat your dairy, we're gonna suddenly like Trump.
Well, before we go on, there were nice comments made on the YouTube side for Shawn, and there are some nice comments being made for Kelly. So I don't know if she can see them, but I'll go ahead and read them real fast.
I cannot, no.
Mom's Mystery and Mayhem says, Kelly is so smart and beautiful. Her hair is amazing.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And Leah the Bookish says, yeah, isn't she great? I am really enjoying her. Mom replies, she is. So I thought you might want to hear.
I appreciate that to both of you. Lovely comments. Thank you. Made my night. Night.
Oh, by the way, how's the noggin doing? I mean, I know we're about.
So far, I'm holding out for now. So yeah, so far so good.
Enjoying our company, Brian. We're doing it. We're doing.
It's just such a healing conversation that we're having. Just these like-minded, kindred spirits.
I have often said there's nothing like a good rant to make you feel better all over. Whatever you got going on, if you can rant, then you can get rid of a lot of toxic problem. Now let's slip back.
Do you mind actually, Brian? Yeah, I don't want to. There is a comment or this question about did Trump hurt things or did he mess things? Do you mind if I just? I don't want to get away from that. I want to make sure we answer. I want to respect that question because it's a good question. As Shawn said, Trump doesn't really care about what happens here per se because you guys have your own thing going on, and he's there to be, America first. But so did he have some elaborate plan? Did he misstep? I don't think any of that is the case. However, it did have this interesting effect where it could have gone either way up here. And because of the weakness of our leadership, and I'm talking both conservative and liberal mainstream parties, it has gone the wrong way. It could have been beautiful. Like Shawn said, we could have promoted, hey, here's the things that we can do to make Canada great again and make what is good about America. What's the stuff that people in, say, Alberta or Saskatchewan, people who have always had a bit of an alienation, separation sentiment from the East and from the sort of urban Quebec voter area, what can we tell them to make sure that we solidify this vote? Well, gun rights, free speech, these basic things that are wonderful about the States. We don't have your constitution, but we could at least try to not be so woke and socialist if we just had the right leader. So he missed an opportunity. And I don't know if that's him or if that's whoever's telling him who to speak. But I don't know if you saw, Shawn, 3 weeks ago, a month ago now, there was kind of that Canada First rally Pierre held. It was right after the tariff stuff first came out. And he made a speech. And it was generally okay, although it was a little milquetoast, little weak sauce. But my husband and I were driving to Edmonton at the time, and we were listening and cringing the whole time because he started it off with this whole speech about, oh, Canada, don't mistake our kindness for weakness, and everyone's cheering, and it's all supposed to be so lovely. It was really cringy. But then he gets into the typical thing that everyone else is doing, which is, America bad, Canada, moral high ground, always the superiority complex. And he made a comment, and I think it was in reference to a historic comment from someone else, I can't recall, that America will do the right thing eventually, like after they do all the bad things. And he just had to, right? Yeah. He just had to do the dig. He just had to go in there. And I had said to my husband, I wish I could just contact them and write his speeches, because this is outrageous. Trump, love or hate him, is not a complicated man. I feel like you could just stroke his ego a little bit and have a normal conversation and not show to be a total weak sauce, passive aggressive, morally superior jerk. And I think we could actually get somewhere. But no, every single person is talking the same way. And that's kind of making Trump a little bit angry, and his trolling's getting harder, and now he's getting irritated. And then Doug Ford made it worse. And it's just been like this spiral effect that never had to happen. So did Trump stuff make it worse? Yes. Is it Trump's fault? No. We had an opportunity. We blew it because we were too busy feeling like we are smarter and more moral than Americans. And that's what is driving me crazy right now.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've got not a problem one with Pierre LePew, going out there like, well, Trump, I get that. But take the opportunity to turn it around on the Liberal Party of Canada and explain, okay, we wouldn't be here. Excuse me. We wouldn't be here. We can do it better. And here's how. And he won't, it's just frustrating from down south looking up there. Cause I'm like, man, the Conservative Party, and I don't know enough about them to love them or hate them, but I know they're the alternative to the Liberals. But they're about to blow a golden opportunity here. They really are. Conservatives came to power in the 1990s in Washington in part because we offered an alternative vision embodied in the Contract with America. A simple 10-point, and I'm not saying Canada's got to do this because you guys are your own nation and you guys know what your body politics needs. But we offered conservatives offered a simple 10-point plan. If you elect us, we will bring these things to a vote in the House of Representatives in the first 100 days. Pierre could do something akin to that. I mean, in speeches, in television appearances, whatever. And it's like it's like you said, Trump bad, America bad, dude. That only gets you so far. And to your point about Trump, I agree. He's pretty simple in this respect.
In this respect,
if you don't hit him, he won't hit you. Hit him, he's going to come back and he'll verbally try to clock you. And I mean, Americans haven't figured that out about Trump yet. That's what cracks me up. The man's been on the scene politically for over 10 years, and nobody down here among his political enemies can figure the man out yet. It cracks me up.
It's not that complicated. I'm not a psychology major, and I'm not saying that Canada should bow to it and just say, oh, Mr. Trump, whatever, please don't hurt us. I'm not saying we should be weak, but there's a way to actually be diplomatic through this. There's a way to actually make things happen. That's the whole point of diplomacy, is to find a win-win. And he had an opportunity to be the only person that wasn't acting like this, and he didn't take it. And it seems like it's because he's so scared of being called Trump, because the media calls him mini Trump, and all of his lefty haters thinks he's Trump.
Maple MAGA, baby.
Yeah, and so it's like he's so scared of that, but yet he's not winning them over anyway. They still basically think that he's Trump. So he's not gaining any ground in left-leaning or centrist supporters. So he needs to play to his base and actually start to just, I don't know, say what he thinks, be honest, be sincere, authenticity, like crazy ideas, love or hate Trump. Again, he is kind of just who he is. Like, he just throws it out there and you don't have to question, because he's super blunt. And we need even just a little more of that in Canada, but everyone's so scared. I should not be ballsier than the leader of the Conservative Party. I am not all that aggressive, but I am. And that's really sad. Like, that's really sad. I'm 5'1" and I'm a girl, and I just shouldn't be more confident and braver than him. And I am. And I think that's insane.
And let me tell you something, that leopard print on Shawn's got comments anyway, but whenever he puts that leopard print on, man, it just goes to a whole other level.
People's streams wearing a banana or a Yeti or a hot dog. So, I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fabulous.
Fine. Okay, so one of the things that does get overlooked is Canada is a little myopic in much the similar way that Europe is.
Okay.
And what Donald Trump is doing right now is trying to get all of the international ducks in a row, whether that be Ukraine, Gaza, all that stuff, Canada, Mexico, all of the international ducks have to be in a row, because right now there is a bomb, very large financial bomb underneath America, and it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
about to go off. We've already, I
Yep.
mean, in the last 30 days, $5.5 trillion has been wiped off the value of the stock market. So there's a bomb that's going off. So all of the international ducks have to be in a row. So Donald Trump can solely handle America. He won't have any bandwidth for any of the international stuff. So all the ducks have to be sort of dealt with. And
Yep.
and so that includes the southern border. That includes the northern border. So, Canada, maybe not let all the fentanyl come in, or the illegals, because getting into Canada is easy.
Mhm.
If getting into Canada is easy, I mean, getting into America is easy. I mean, just rock some road. You just walk right through it. And so that's sort of what Donald Trump is doing. As we talked in the last stream, it is now a multipolar world again, right? So it's all
Yeah.
about regional powers. So that's why Donald Trump is interested in Denmark, or in Greenland rather. That's why there's talk about being the 51st state, because it's you have to have a sphere of influence. So it's kind of when you look up at it from the 50,000 foot overview or whatever, it becomes sort of a geopolitical thing. And Canada is just, we're very myopic to any of that. And
Yeah, we're G7, but we're not really that important but we're just another little cog in the woke globalist world that Trump doesn't like. He doesn't
do you
want
know where we fit in the G7? Number
Where?
7.
Exactly. Yeah.
$2 trillion is our economy. America, $29 trillion. If anyone thinks for a moment that Canada can do anything to harm America's economy, let me tell you, I have a bridge to sell you. I've given it a cool name. It's called the Ambassador Bridge. I mean, it's for sale.
Yeah, we're not doing okay, and we're decimating our industries between carbon tax and overregulation and other taxes. We're losing all the potential. Like, we have so much endless potential here, resource wise and everything else. And we're having brain drain up the wazoo. We're losing doctors to the US. We're losing industry. People are leaving. People are taking their business elsewhere. It's not pretty, and it's not necessary. And yeah, I mean, maybe some of the tariffs are going to hurt the US. Maybe there's certain, like, my husband's in forestry, and he was saying how maybe, some of the wood sales versus, Canadian wood versus American, like, there's different things. Insert joke here, right? But there's certain things that might be somewhat detrimental to your economy, but it's not big enough to make it, like, we're not as important to the States as they are to us. And it's funny because most Canadians are, while being saucy, and I saw a comment earlier, yeah, maybe if you didn't point your nose up at the Americans, maybe things would go smoother. Absolutely. But it just seems like we're sitting here watching American television, buying mostly, well, Chinese or American products, and we think that we have so much power, and we don't. Like, we're not that important in the world. I love my country, sort of. I'm more of just a proud Saskatchewan or Saskatchewan resident now at this point, but we're not that great. Like, we're little, and we're losing power. We're losing financial impact very, very, very quickly.
Well, but I've got a response to that. But one of my audience members asks a very good question. Okay, maybe we don't buy all of Canada, but can we buy something like Vancouver, Saskatchewan from you guys?
Do you want Vancouver? They're like super woke, but sure, have at her. Saskatchewan and Alberta might consider actually some benefits to the American way. I think a lot of us are really envious of you. Yeah, take Vancouver. That's fine. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's incredibly expensive and full of hardcore hippie leftists, but by all means.
Oregon, you can have it.
It's basically Oregon, yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically like Seattle or Portland, same diff.
Well, here's one of the questions from the audience.
We don't have a hockey team. Yeah, whoever just put that. We don't have a hockey team. We love the hockey here. We do not have a hockey team. We're very small. Like, we're really tiny. We're total North Dakota flyover country in Saskatchewan. So,
well, there is another question from the audience. Why does Canada have trouble controlling its northern border and the fentanyl, That is Trump's concern and is being ignored. I mean, and I will admit, I have, southern border. I've turned my eyes south for so many years, but I never realized that the northern border was a problem. I mean, look, how bad of a problem is it? And, what can be done about it? Yeah, okay. But, tell me about the northern border. What is going on?
I think 48 kilograms of fentanyl has been seized, and so the liberals go, our border isn't that bad because 48 kilograms of fentanyl has been seized. That's not even that much. And you go, okay, first of all, 48 kilograms will kill 10 million people.
Yeah.
So, I think that's
it's bad enough.
A lot.
Yeah.
But they also think for every 1 kilogram seized, 20 gets through.
Oof.
Right?
Yeah, it's a problem.
So again, we're trying to prove a negative. But here's the thing. Okay. So let's pretend for a moment there's actually not that much fentanyl coming through. Right. Mm-hmm. Where's it going to come through when that southern border is a steel trap?
Yeah.
Bingo. Because as you said, it's so easy to get here. And if I may just insert another comment, I think there's a lot more going on in the background of US intelligence that a lot of us just aren't aware of, that even Americans aren't aware of, that the average sort of pleb is not aware of. I've been able to sort of be in contact with, at least in the years when I was kind of doing politics, there's a guy named Tom Quiggin. If you want, go follow him on Twitter, or on X, pardon me. He's ex-Canadian intelligence, and he has a lot of great insight, whether it comes to China, whether it comes to stuff at our border, whether it comes to the threat of political Islam into Canada, which is also huge and being ignored. There's stuff going down that Trump is aware of that other people aren't. And the other issue that people aren't aware of, that I've become aware of through a friend of mine in the US who works with anti-trafficking orgs, so human trafficking, bringing awareness on how to spot it. There's a lot of trafficking coming through the Canadian border. In particular, I believe it's Hondurans. They're coming to Canada, and then it's like all coming through. And this is stuff that nobody's talking about because everybody's looking at the southern border. And well, what would peaceable, lovely, perfect, amazingly moral Canadians ever have to threaten the US with? And people are just missing the point. And because of this facade of us being so morally righteous and so much better than everybody else, it's like we're just being ignored when that porous border, often unmanned for massive stretches through barren wasteland of, minus 40 in the winter, stuff is going down. And it's not just fentanyl, it's human beings. And I suspect there's also, major threats when it comes to things like political jihad, political Islam, intervention into our political system, MPs. There's a lot going on with things like the Gettr papers, like stuff that just doesn't get discussed, not to mention the fact that fentanyl is partly an issue because I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the OxyContin crisis started in Ontario back in whatever it was. So like we've had a huge role to play.
I wouldn't even doubt that.
Yeah, opioids have been a big issue here for a long time. So, and of course it's so easy to access everything up here too. So yeah, there's no doubt there's concerns at the northern border, and I am not surprised that Trump is putting his foot down. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I go to Shawn's point. If the southern border gets locked down the way Americans would love to see it locked down, whatever is trying to flow through the south is going to go to the north because, like, okay, I can't get in one way, I will get in the other. And, I get where Trump's coming from on this. Is like, guys, help us out here. We're trying to get this thing under control, help a brother out. But let me ask you this one last question. We'll bring the train into the station. An election, in theory, is going to happen at some point, sometime in your country this year, God willing. Let's assume for a second that Pierre Lepew and his conservative brethren get hold of your all's parliament. How quickly can he turn it around, and what do you think relations with the United States will be like? Because right now, it kind of like, what are you laughing about over there, you scoundrel?
You said these words, turn it around, and that's not happening. It's not being turned around.
So you guys are on the slow road to hell and extinction? I mean, what are we talking here?
Well, that's I know you're trying to be like, dramatic and flowery with your language, but yeah, basically that's a fact. Like Pierre won't be able to turn it around. Like he when you ask him about gun rights, and I've done this a bunch of times because you know what, I'd like to have one. I think it might be nice. No answer.
Mhm.
Sometimes he answers, but it's very vague, and it's just
Mhm.
like, okay, well, what about immigration? Are you going to stop the immigration? Because we can't possibly keep getting 500,000 people a year.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, well, maybe we'll slow it down, but again, it's just kind of all this vague stuff. But all the videos, because the internet doesn't forget. Not that long ago, he was like, we need more immigration. Well, no, we don't. We need less. We need to send people
Yeah.
home. But that's not really. I mean, really. I mean, if we had the politician we need is Maxime, like
Mad Max.
yeah, that's the one that we need. But so yeah, he's Pierre's not gonna send anybody home. He's not gonna give his guns back. He's not gonna dismantle like human rights commissions that prevent us from speaking. He's not gonna stop any of the laws that Jordan Peterson yelled about. He's not gonna do any of that. I mean, what he might do is slow down the insanity.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going to be the same Canada that we're in. It's just the free fall into a communist hellhole will maybe slow down because we spread our arms and legs and we happen to have one of those flying squirrel suits, so the fall is a little bit slower, but we're still going the same direction. There is no turning it around. Like he is just not that politician.
He's not strong enough on it. And unless he has some tricks up his sleeve and he's just playing it so cool to win, and then suddenly he's going to shock us all with a hardcore backbone, which would be amazing. And I mean, hey, stranger things have happened, but I'm not holding my breath. And despite having run for the PPC, it's not a viable option. And I have major concerns with issues with that party and why I left. But like, we're kind of left without a viable option. And as Shawn said, nothing's stopping it. There's a few things that'll be a great relief to many of us. Yeah, okay, he's going to axe the tax and he's going to decrease regulations to build more homes. And he claims now, as of more recently, that maybe he'll slow down immigration and whatever. But it's just again, bird's eye view. The direction we're heading is really, really obvious if you just pay attention, and it's not good, and it's very fast. And he's going to have to do an extraordinary amount of work, and he's going to have to be a human being that I don't think he's capable of being, and I don't think his party would allow him to be, in order to actually make those changes. And it's just, I feel like it's a high-speed train. I try not to be black-pilled, but it's pretty concerning. Like, my husband and I are pretty concerned about being here. It's daunting right now. We're in the market to buy a house, and it's like, what's the point? Because what's going to come of all this? And as Shawn said, all of these bills, Bill C-16, Bill, was it C-4 or C-6, like the conversion therapy bill, which is interestingly named to fool people. All of this stuff, like the gender madness, the generalized hatred that apparently every white person is supposed to feel towards themselves, the fact that we are just being told that we're garbage day in and day out. Like, they have so thoroughly demoralized the country on a social level, as well as de-incentivized and destroyed the country on an economic level. I have no idea how you bounce back from this. And people aren't waking up to it. And more, if I can just share a really quick story time with Kelly, because it kind of ties this together. So I'm at the grocery store the other day, and I'm going to buy some celery. And we don't have a lot of produce growing right now in Canada because it's cold, and there is some stuff going on in BC, but there's not a lot. So sometimes you have to buy from other places, like, I don't know, the US or Mexico or wherever. So I'm looking for celery. I'm in the way of someone, and I say, oh, sorry, because I'm Canadian, and we're so nice, right? Or we at least apologize when we don't need to. I said, sorry, I'm in your way. And he says, oh, no. I'm just trying to find what I'm looking for. Okay. Are you looking for Canadian products? I'm trying to find something from Canada. And I said, well, I don't know. I'm just trying to find what I need. Well, are you shopping Canadian? And I said, well, I've always shopped local, but I did that before the tariffs. It has nothing to do with anything going on. It's not because someone told me to or it's trendy. I just like to support my community when I can. Pretty straightforward. And I guess I gave him the right answer, because then he just jumped into this whole lecture, and he was very nice. But as I left the interaction, I thought to myself, well, what if I had just said no, or he had, heaven forbid, seen me pick up the celery from Mexico that I bought? I'm certain I would have got a lecture. And I feel like that, as much as it's one interaction in a pretty rural area, in a pretty conservative area, that to me just kind of is, if you balloon that out, that's what's happening in Canada right now. We have this blinders on. We're told to be mad about what we're mad about. When it was COVID, it was hate the unvaccinated because they're the ones that are making it worse. Yeah. Everybody do what you're told, get in line, end the pandemic. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. Now it's don't buy American, Trump bad. We just get in line. We just dive in. And that's,
and we're in these tariffs together.
Exactly. And that's all that we have. And so do I see a positive, to dive this back in, do I see a positive outcome for Canada? No. We need a major cultural and intellectual shift, and people are probably going to have to hurt a lot more to wake up. And the propaganda, like it or not, it is a strong propaganda game in this country. Like, they do a really good job. We're very like Russian, sort of Pravda media sort of a system. It's good. It's really good. I hate that it is, but it is. We have our CBC, which is all taxpayer funded. Then we have the media subsidies that go into every other outlet other than places like Rebel or True North. And that means that everybody's terribly cautious of what they say, and the government has control of our media, and people are just too busy or not interested. And if you don't see a cultural shift, if I can't go to the grocery store without feeling like I'm going to get shamed over celery, we have a problem. And that is not just one interaction. This is all over as you people watch. This is super common. I've never seen my sort of just personal feed of family and friends more just ridiculous. Like, I am blown away by how ridiculous people are being. And it is everywhere. It's just like COVID. And I have a very sinking feeling in my gut that without a shift in that perspective on a mass scale, like we're talking major amounts of people waking up, I don't know who, as a politician, is going to fix this.
It's like another mass formation psychosis, because
Absolutely.
we've been worried about the price of things, and we've been feeling it. So there's this lingering anxiety and this lingering stress that's just sort of there, and then it's kind of just lingering, and then all of a sudden, where it's kind of like it's about to get a whole lot worse, and there's the boogeyman, and everyone's like, ah!
Scapegoat, scapegoat.
So now, like, I mean, Canada has always kind of, I don't know, culturally looked it down on Americans, like, those boorish Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And we are now acting towards Americans and America the way that we have always falsely perceived how Americans act. And booing anthems, who does that?
It's unreal. It's so pathetic.
It's who does that, and for what purpose? It's so dumb. And yeah, so we're off the reservation, and we are. It's like COVID all over again. At some point they're gonna knock on the door, and they're gonna be like, "We've come to inspect your refrigerator," and then it's like, "Oh, this is an American product."
Traitor.
Like with you, yeah, exactly. It's like we're getting there, or there's gonna be like those tattletale lines, right? Where it's like excuse me, I caught my neighbor at the grocery store buying American guacamole or some shit like that. And so it's insane here. I don't know why we are so dumb. I am.
Thank you so much, Shawn. I'm so grateful I came on this podcast. I'm so frustrated. I've said that yesterday. Like, I don't understand what's going on. What's happening?
It's so nonsensical, Brian. It is so nonsensical. It doesn't make sense how we are so dumb. Like, all of it, that you would think that the average person couldn't possibly fall for this because it's so dumb. But then you see everyone falling for the most obvious dumb thing, and you're like, wait a minute. Am I the crazy one? Do they know something that I don't? It turns out, no, they're just dumb.
They're not paying attention. Yeah. And I'm not even like some genius. It's not like I think I'm so amazing. I'm just a normal person, but I just pay attention, and I just don't, I don't know what's happened. I don't know if like the jab made everybody crazy. I don't know. I'm at the point where I think it's mostly propaganda, but even then you would think there would come a point where they'd see the inconsistencies, and you're trying to be, peaceable about it with family and friends anyway, but it's really frustrating. It's really hard. It's really hard. And it's not that people are being nice. Like you said, Shawn, we always took such pride in how kind we are. but we're being such jerks. Like, we're being such sanctimonious jerks to our closest neighbor, places that people go. I see people, again, family and friends will badmouth the US and then they're down there for a vacation. They go to Disneyland, they put on, Law and Order. Like, they're so angry and they don't even know why. And it's just really disheartening. And they're just being jerks. It's really embarrassing. I'll be honest. I am so embarrassed to be Canadian right now. I'm utterly horrified.
And here's a crazy thing.
Okay.
Is it April? Is April the carbon tax comes in?
Yeah, another increase. Woohoo! Because we haven't been just
all
ruined
right.
enough.
So we have a carbon tax, and it's basically a punishment that it's basically Trudeau is punishing us so he can touch himself at night. He gets joy from it. I suspect there's no reason why everything has to be more expensive for what? For carbon? Are you kidding me? For carbon. And he's like, well, it saves the environment. No, it doesn't. It makes Canadians poorer because everything is more expensive.
Everything.
So
it trickles down, of course.
He's like, oh, these tariffs could really, really hurt Canadians. Well, sure, this is true. But if only there was a way we could immediately, overnight, make everything cheaper. I don't know. Maybe take off your carbon tax. You could do it with a stroke of a pen. You take off your carbon tax, then you know what? Nothing changes because the tariffs are there. We deal with that diplomatically, however we have to deal with it. But Canadians are surviving the way they're surviving right now. It literally will just go out in the wash.
Yep.
But they're like, no. We still have to survive the tariffs, but also with carbon taxes. And in April, we're going to increase it. And Mark Carney wants to double it. So, like, these tariffs aren't the end of the world necessarily, but our politicians are, for some reason, trying to make us think it's the end of the world, even though our politicians are doing more damage to us than the actual tariffs are.
Yep. And have for a while now. And nobody seems to. And Pierre sometimes brings that up. And I guess a few people are talking about it, but it's just, it seems to just be lost on others that this has been a slow destruction, actually pretty quick. I mean, it's been bad for a while, but the last 10 years has been an epic level of destruction economically. And the carbon tax is tangibly, clearly, obviously hurting people. And oh my goodness, Shawn, if I hear one more person say that the rebates actually make you money or make up for it, I'm gonna lose my mind. But at any rate, you don't make money on them. Newsflash. You don't make money. If you're going to make money, the government wouldn't take it in the first place. And so, it's an easy way to just sort of kind of even it out a bit. But no, they can't do that.
Infinity energy machine. Like, what do you mean it makes money? So you've taken all of the money that we've given you. You've given some of it back, but in that you've had to use our tax dollars to divvy, process, and give back. I mean, there's a loss of money in the system. There's no way that we make money. That's absolutely stupid.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I have
now my head hurts.
I have never been more disgusted with Canadian patriotism. I've never been more disgusted with Canadian politics and Canadians in general, Canada in general. It is a disaster. And I've always been like a, very patriotic guy, right? But seeing the way that we're frothing and foaming at the mouth for no because somebody had the audacity to jingle a little bell, all of a sudden we're like going crazy at the mouth. It's just it's insane. And
it's very revealing. It's very revealing, and it's very disappointing.
That's ultimately what it is. America, Canada is stupid.
And kind of mean.
Really,
we're kind of mean, to be fair. Like, we're not being nice at all. That was always just a lie. So we just say sorry too much for other people's mistakes, not our own. And we're mean. We like to boo 15-year-old girls as they sing the anthem. And we'll even boo, apparently, a Black disabled woman in a wheelchair at some kind of event in Vancouver. That's how bad people are frothing at the mouth. As you said, Shawn, liberals love to just throw away their principles at the nearest opportunity. And they did just that. The most compassionate people on the planet are just being horrible. And it's super, super embarrassing.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, Kelly, Shawn, as I say, you
on
two
that
are
happy note.
No. I was going to say, you two are welcome to come here and rant anytime you want to. And on behalf of we crazy Americans to your south, if y'all ever get fed up enough and you want to
Just
escape,
invade us, Brian. Listen, if you guys are going to talk this big freaking game about 51st state, just do it. Just shut up and do it already. You know what? Maybe it would be great because, okay, we're obviously not going to be the 51st state because we're bigger than you. So we'd have to be like the 51st to the 63rd state. And that's probably fine. But just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams, America. Just do it.
Well, before we go, I've got one last question from the audience, and this is from Gypsy. I have not heard about this, the Canadian ostrich farm controversy. Do you two know anything about this, or is Viva Fry the only one covering it?
Oh, I haven't watched Viva in a while. I'm not as familiar with this.
It's some ostriches need to be put down, but there's no reason to put them down, and people are a little pissed off about it. Our government loves killing things.
True, that's true. Yeah,
Okay.
very nice again. Very nice people.
They love killing things. Like it was a handful of years ago in British Columbia. There was apparently some wolves just doing wolf things in the wilderness. And they're like, hey, we got an idea. Let's get in a helicopter and shoot them. In the exact way the law says you're not allowed to do. We're the government, so screw you guys. And then anyways, this ostrich farm thing. There's some perfectly good ostriches that shouldn't be put down, and our government's like, you know what we should do? Kill the ostriches, and it's also something about their eggs. Something about the ostrich eggs. I don't know. I kind of following it, kind of not really, mostly not really, but I heard about it.
I'm curious now. I have to go watch Viva because
Okay.
Now,
well, apparently, after we take care of Greenland, you guys are next. But if we don't,
Trudeau gave all the guns away.
Yeah, there's not much.
And we have no ammunition. We
have very little military at this point.
So we have 3 days of ammunition left, apparently. So come with 4 days, and you'll win.
Well, this is just it. All the feelings aside, people have been fighting about this since Trump brought it up initially seemingly as a troll, and now it's obviously spiraled a bit. But no matter what people feel on it or what side you're on, like, what are we going to do about it, though, actually, if that came down to it? Like, realistically, we don't actually stand a chance. Whether anybody wants to say that's good or bad is up to them, but it's kind of true. So.
Well, like I say, you two are welcome down south with us crazy Americans anytime y'all want to get away. But anyway, no, I'll tell you what, Kelly, where can people find you on social media? What can they do to support what you're doing? Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
I'm not doing much right now. I'm in the middle of health stuff, and we're house hunting and more community involved. I'm kind of off to the side. I don't know what my future holds, but I still have a YouTube channel, and I don't plan on getting rid of it. So you can find me on YouTube. Just look me up. I'm the non-Filipino, non-model account. That's Kelly Lamb. I think there's a Kelly Lamb that's like a model. That's not me. I'm the other one.
Yeah.
I look like me. So you can find me there. I don't do tons, but I plan to eventually. I plan to do more eventually. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm on X as well, but I'm not super active on there. I tend to just like disappear for weeks at a time and not pay attention because that place is wild. Wild.
Ain't that the truth?
Makes me grouchy. I don't like who it makes me.
Shawn, where can people find you, and what can they do to support your work, brother?
Well, I guess first, thank you for having me on, Brian. I always appreciate the invites. You have such a great chat, and I love yelling in front of them. It's great.
And they love you yelling in front of them as well. So
and when Kelly gets ducks in a row, I want her on my channel because she's lovely and so smart. Oh my goodness! But
thank you.
As for me, I'm Shawn of ThirdRailify. You can find me at ThirdRailify on YouTube, and at ThirdRailify on X, and at ThirdRailify on Rumble. I do, because I am a part of the Rumble Creator Program, I do most of my streaming, all of my streaming there, because I say bad words, and YouTube hates that. So my big show is Saturday Night Off the Rails. Obviously, that's Saturday night at 10. I have a new show on Monday, Pop Culture Beatdown, where I have my friend Mike. He's an industry insider. We discuss movies and video games and pop culture, all of that stuff. And then on Wednesday, I have a show with Gina, who is Mom's Mystery and Mayhem. It's called About Nothing, because it's about nothing.
So basically, you two make like Canadian Seinfeld.
It's, you know what, our show yesterday, it was literally about nothing. It was almost like speed dating, and the chat loved it. But I was like, what? is low stakes. It doesn't matter. Anyways, that's that. So go find me wherever you go to find people, and let's be friends.
Indeed. Let us be friends. Well, like I said, I want to thank you both for being here because, like I said, I needed an update and some insights, and you two are absolutely fantastic to have on for things like this. And as I said, if ever the day comes you need to rant, it's like, message me. We will come here and let you get it out of your system. We want you both help.
I was going to say, this is that's a hefty commitment, Brian. Like, it's getting pretty common.
Okay.
Our household is pretty ranty.
Within reason, okay? Within reason.
Start charging us therapy bills. I'll expect one in the mail.
Yeah. Oh no! I would not do that to you. Although I could probably retire on something. Never mind. Anyway, I will be back this Saturday morning for a session of Front Porch Brunch. And in the meanwhile, videos are coming out. I dropped one this evening regarding Senator Schumer, and hopefully you guys will take a look at that, because what he did tonight might be the beginning of the end of his political career if his fellow Democrats get a hold of him before it's all said and done. But anyway, we'll be back this Saturday morning full show with Front Porch Brunch. And in the meanwhile, you guys have an absolutely great night. And remember, in the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, it's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money. Love you guys very much. You have a great night. Kids, hang around. We'll say some goodbyes backstage. Have a good night, y'all.